Our friend Bingolly1, the chief SDA hater of the Roman Catholic Church, has contradicted his own Roman Catholic Church, popes, and their high-ranking scholars and theologians many times in the past. Now he is at it again and contradicting a doctor and saint of his own Roman Catholic Church, much the same as when he recently contradicted a patristic scholar of the Roman Catholic Church. Our friend Bingolly1 was self-admittedly in error for over 30 years, yet this does not deter him from contradicting those who hold much more superior credentials than he himself possesses. Friend Bingolly1 allegedly holds degrees from 2 Bible, quote, colleges and 1 in, quote, law enforcement. Do Bingolly1's credentials really stand up to those who are recognized by the Roman Catholic Church as number 1, scholars of the RCC, 2, saints of the RCC, 3, doctors of the RCC, and 4, imprimatur book authors of the RCC? We must keep in mind, friend Bingolly1 holds none of these credentials. He is not any of the following. He is not, number 1, a scholar of the Roman Catholic Church. He is not, number 2, a doctor of the Roman Catholic Church. Number 3, he is not a saint of the Roman Catholic Church. And number 4, he is not an imprimatur book author of the Roman Catholic Church. In fact, it must be remembered that friend Bingolly1 is a baby in terms of his Catholicity. He has been Roman Catholic for only a very short time. Even some of his Roman Catholic brethren have had to correct him in the past. Now, let's listen to a clip of our friend Bingolly1 and his opinion of whether or not Mary, the mother of Jesus, was with God at creation and actually assisted God with his creation of the world.
Mary was never with God in the past or with Jesus in the past. That the Catholic Church claimed that Mary has always been with God, which is a total lie.
Bingolly1 says that his Roman Catholic Church does not teach or approve of the idea that Mary was with God at creation. We will give our friend Bingolly1 the benefit of the doubt and assume that he also does not support the idea that Mary assisted God in the creation of our world. So we must ask the question, does Bingolly1's belief contradict that of his beloved Roman Catholic Church, popes, doctors, saints, and imprimatur book authors? Does the Roman Catholic Church teach that Mary was co-creator with God or not? Before you answer, watch this 10-minute video clip of pastor and professor of theology Stephen Bohr, whom our friend Bingolly1 refers to as a goofball.
For the simple reason that now I am going to share with you the fact that the Roman Catholic Church attributes to Mary everything that the Bible attributes to Jesus. In fact, I'd like to read you a statement from the writings of St. Alphonsus Liguori, who lived in the 17th century. On page 407 of his book, The Glories of Mary, he gives us the principle that he applies to teach that Mary has to be equal to Jesus in everything. Here's the statement. But God was pleased that Mary should in all things resemble Jesus. Now, where is that in the Bible? Nowhere. It's a declaration of Liguori. But God was pleased that Mary should in all things resemble Jesus. And as her son died, it was becoming that the mother should also die. Now, you'll always find in the writings of Roman Catholic writers expressions such as, it was fitting, it was necessary, it was befitting that the mother experience the same as her son. But we're going to notice that in Roman Catholic theology, what actually happens is that Mary has become the rival of Jesus. Mary has overshadowed Jesus and has taken away the glory which belongs to him alone. Now, I'm going to read you several statements from an author, a very famous author of the Roman Catholic Church. His name is St. Alphonsus Liguori. I'm going to tell you a few things about him so that you know why I'm going to take so many quotations from his writings. He lived in the 17th century. He wrote 22 volumes that have been published so far, 22 books, in other words. He was canonized as a saint of the Roman Catholic Church in 1839 by Pope Gregory XIV. He has been called a doctor of the Church. I don't know whether you're aware, but the Roman Catholic Church has 32 doctors in its almost 2,000-year history. And these are the individuals who are the most authoritative writers in the history of the Roman Catholic Church. He was actually declared a doctor of the Church by Pope Pius IX. One of the books that he wrote is called The Glories of Mary. And that's the book that I'm going to quote from extensively in our study today. Now, you might be thinking, well, what you find in this book is simply the opinion of St. Alphonsus Liguori. It's just the opinion of one man about Mary. Lest you think that, allow me to share with you that this book does not contain merely Liguori's opinions. In fact, the book is composed of a collection of the best writings of the early church fathers, of the doctors, and of the saints of the Roman Catholic Church about Mary. In other words, it is a compendium of the Roman Catholic wisdom about Mary from the early church all the way till the times of the 17th century when Liguori lived. Notice the reason that Liguori gives for writing his book, The Glories of Mary. He says this: I endeavored to collect from as many authors as I could lay my hands on the choicest passages extracted from fathers and theologians, and those which seemed to me to be the most to the point, and have put them together in this book, in order that the devout may, with little trouble and expense, be able to inflame themselves with the love of Mary, and more particularly to furnish the priests with matter for their sermons, wherewith to excite others to devotion towards this Divine Mother. This book is composed of many chapters, and the chapters are divided in three parts. The first part has a certain teaching about a role that Mary plays in the church. Then, towards the end of the chapter, he illustrates that role of Mary by, according to him, a real-life episode. And finally, he ends that chapter with a prayer to Mary having to do with the function that he has just described in that chapter. The edition of the Glories of Mary that I am going to use was published in 1931 by the Redemptorist Fathers. It has the imprimatur of Cardinal Patrick Hayes, and the imprimatur is from April 16, 1931. The imprimatur means that this book is officially condoned by the Catholic Church to be read by the faithful. The preponderance of Liguori's quotations in this book are from the apocryphal books of Ecclesiasticus and Wisdom of Solomon. He has very few quotations from Scripture. The places that he does quote Scripture are mainly from Song of Solomon and from the Proverbs. And texts there which apply to the church, he applies in his book to Mary. In fact, as you read this book, you discover that constantly he tears biblical texts out of their context. For example, he gives this quotation on page 101 of his book: "If Mary is for us, who can be against us?" That's a quotation in Romans 8:31, which applies to Jesus. Notice another example, and I could give you dozens and dozens of them. He says Mary was prefigured by the dove which returned to Noah in the ark with an olive branch in its beak, as a pledge of the peace which God granted to men. Now, where in the Bible are we told that that dove represented Mary? It's simply a human opinion. There's no biblical basis for that. That's page 202, by the way. On page 244, St. Alphonsus de Liguori quotes quotes a psalm that says, "Glorious things are said of you, O city of God." And then he quotes St. Gregory, who said, "To whom can this refer but Mary, the city of God?" In another quotation that we find on pages 244 and 45, Ligori says this: "Correctly then, we can here say with St. Paul, having this seal, the Lord knoweth who are his." And then he explains, that is to say, whoever carries with him the mark of devotion to Mary is recognized by God as his. You can read that text in the New Testament, and you will not find Mary anywhere. She's been inserted in that passage. After Ligori died, his grave was opened in Nocera. 3 fingers were cut off of his writing hand and were sent to Rome by the wish of Pope Pius VII. And Pope Pius VII said this as the reason: "Let those 3 fingers that have written so well for the honor of God, of the Blessed Virgin, and of religion be carefully preserved and sent to Rome." Now you know some things about St. Alphonsus Ligori. And I felt that it was important for you to know, because I'm going to read mostly quotations from his book, The Glories of Mary, which is an encyclopedia of the history of the concept that the Roman Catholic Church has had of Mary in the course of the centuries. What we're going to discover is that everything which the Bible attributes to Jesus, the book, The Glories of Mary, attributes to Mary. Now, let's go through these one by one, the ones that I mentioned at the beginning of our talk about Jesus, and I'm going to read you some quotations in Ligori's book where he applies all of these titles and all of these functions to Mary. How about the Creator? You say, certainly, Ligori could not say that Mary was there creating with Jesus. If you don't think so, think again. Allow me to read you this statement from page 368 of his book. By the way, I read this book with a fine-tooth comb very, very carefully in preparation for this lecture. He says this, and he's quoting St. Bonaventure: "The world which thou with God," he's speaking about Mary, "the world which thou with God didst form from the beginning continues to exist at thy will, O most holy Virgin." The saint, adhering in this to the words of Proverbs applied by the Church to Mary. And these are the words: "I was with him forming all things." Saint Bernardine adds that it was for the love of Mary that God did not destroy man after Adam's sin. He preserved it on account of his most singular love for this Blessed Virgin. Now, where in the Bible do you find such a concept? That Mary was there at the beginning creating this world with Jesus. It is absurd, because Mary obviously had an origin long after the creation of this world.
Now let's again listen to our friend Bingolly1's statements and ask if his ideas match the teachings of his beloved Roman Catholic Church, popes, doctors, scholars, saints, and imprimatur authors of the Roman Catholic Church. After each statement by our friend Bingolly1, I have made it easy for you to know if his statements match the teachings of his Roman Catholic Church.
Mary was never with God in the past or with Jesus in the past.
Bingolly1 unwittingly calls his Roman Catholic Church, popes, doctors, scholars, saints, and imprimatur book authors liars.
That the Catholic Church claimed that Mary has always been with God, which is a total lie.
Here, Bingolly1 just blatantly called his Roman Catholic Church, popes, doctors, scholars, saints, and imprimatur book authors liars once again.
But of course, they're nothing but liars, it seems, in the Seventh-day Adventist organization from the top to the bottom.
Actually, the truth is, when you step on Satan's tail, he gets mad. Since Satan works through people, then they get mad too. Professing mainline Christianity has a lot of dishonest people who do not want to hear the truth about the Roman Catholic Church and their own false, quote, Protestant beliefs, which are really just nothing more than Roman Catholic beliefs in disguise.
The Catholic Church never has taught that Mary was there with God. But understand that the Seventh-day Adventists are heretics, and they do not believe that Jesus is God.
What Bingolly1 really means is that Seventh-day Adventists do not believe the same false idea of the Trinity that Bingolly1 believes. The term Trinity can be misleading. The word Godhead is a better term for this. You see, friend Bingolly1 actually believes that God is talking to himself when he speaks to Jesus, and that Jesus is talking to himself when he prays to the Father. Bingolly1 also believes that Jesus is his own Father, and that the Father is his own Son. Nice, huh? Bingolly1 believes in a heresy, apparently, that is called oneness. It's also called modalism. It was taught by a priest named Sibelius. I'm not sure what the Roman Catholic Church teaches on this, since Bingolly1, being a regular contradictor of his own church, is not a good source to consult on the issue. Here's a quick example of how our friend Bingolly1 slaughters the Bible with his strange oneness belief. First, I will list a scripture verse as it appears in the Bible, then I will list it changed to how it would read in the Bingolly1 version. Matthew 17:5, King James Version. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Now, the same verse, Matthew 17:5, in the Bingolly1 version. This is my beloved Self. In me I am well pleased. Hear ye me. See how Bingolly1's belief makes Scripture sound ridiculous? If you visit the SDA Church website and look at the fundamental beliefs, you will find the SDAs do indeed believe that Jesus is fully God. Methinks Bingolly1 has an axe to grind and is being ignorant or totally dishonest about this.
I would challenge him or any Seventh-day Adventist to show me anywhere where the Catholic Church has ever said that Mary was back there with God.
I just did.
I challenge any of them. That's just a total, flat-out lie.
Ligori's book, The Glories of Mary, has the imprimatur, which is the official approval for teaching of Cardinal Patrick Hayes of the Roman Catholic Church. Ligori was sainted by a pope. Ligori was made a doctor of the Church by a pope. How much more do you need?
Which is a total lie.